Some conversations do not try to impress you. They invite you to slow down and listen a little more closely to what is shifting, to what no longer fits, to what wants to emerge next. This is Journeys of Empowerment, a circle of belonging, a space where founders and leaders share the moments that quietly changed how they live, work and lead. I'm your host, Michiel Sujit-Rijt. Before we step into today's conversation, I want to acknowledge our sponsor. Imagine this. Your managers give feedback every single day. The training was done, the message was clear, and still behavior does not change. Not because people do not care, but because reinforcement is often unclear. And leaders do not actually know what is driving behavior in their teams. That is where Reinforcer.ai comes in. Reinforcer.ai analyzes everyday leadership conversations and show managers very concretely what reinforced the right behavior, what missed the mark, and what to focus on next time. It's built on proven behavioral science and makes behavior change practical, measurable, and part of daily work. If you are curious what your daily conversations are really reinforcing, you can explore Reinforcer.ai. And now, let us return to the heart of this episode. Let's step into this conversation. What if success was not about how much you can carry, but about how honestly you choose to live? In this episode, I sat down with Anna Fedusiv, founder of Empowerment Lab, and someone who brings lived depth into conversations about work, identity, and what it really means to live well. Anna grew up in post-Soviet Ukraine, shaped by scarcity, hustle, and emotional absence. Survival came first. Achievement followed. Her path moved through corporate marketing and leadership into motherhood, burnout, grief, and the reality of war. What stayed with me was her quiet but fierce inquiry into success and her courage to redefine it on her own terms. Not as a withdrawal, but as a responsibility to herself and to others. We explored what she calls a decent life and why redefining success matters. How growing up in scarcity shaped ambition and burnout patterns. What leadership changes when you carry responsibility for others. How grief and war ask us to put the oxygen mask first. And how her work shifts from marketing into coaching and building spaces for awareness and agency. She said it without hesitation. I'm a badass. And this state, awareness is not weakness. It's the moment you reclaim choice. Let's take a deep breath and begin. Anna, welcome to Journeys of Empowerment.
I'm delighted to be here, Michiel. Thank you for the invitation.
I'm so glad that Elisa introduced us, Elisa Viot, introduced us to each other. Maybe, how do you know Elisa? The amazing Elisa. Elisa, I'm a fan of you, you know that.
First of all, we happen to be both Ukrainians.
Yeah.
And we met here in the Netherlands, I believe 6 or 7 years ago, when we were both part of the female entrepreneurs community.
Yes.
And I immediately clicked with Elisa because I truly was inspired by her depth, by the way of her thinking, and also generosity. So these types of people and it resonated with me because this is also the person who I am. So, yeah.
Interesting.
So,
we will dive for sure in the podcast into who you are. No, and I'm happy. So, Elisa, thank you very much because we had already our first conversation and it instantly clicked. And that's interesting what happens when a former guest becomes a friend and she's like, I have to introduce you to each other. Of course, by default, it's already always yes. And then I became curious, hey, who are you? But before we dive into who are you and what you're doing, what you're doing right now and why we're doing what we're doing and go deeper, is the question, who are you aspiring to become? Who are you becoming?
Who am I becoming? I'm a human. I believe that the most beautiful title for me would be she was a decent human. The decent human who lived a good life. And it's my definition of what good life, try to define what good life is, and who also made some ripple effects.
Ripple effect?
In the world, yes. Yeah.
And that's the interesting part, because by asking that and by aspiring to become a decent human, it's interesting. We don't have to prepare a lot of questions, because we can ask, based upon those answers, already a lot of questions. And the first one, what pops up is decent life. What do you mean by decent life?
And it is life's question. You know, what is a decent life? And what are you? I always, in my work, I ask the people, like, what is your definition of success? Because what success looks like for you might be different from what success looks like for me. And it takes time to zoom out from what people expect of you, what society expects of you, what your parents expect of you, and try to really understand how does success looks like for me. So for me, living a decent life is living a life where I have deep connection with people who are dear to my heart. I do meaningful work. I have the time and space to dedicate to myself, while enjoying the journey. So for me, the end result, if I'm not enjoying the journey, and if the path and enjoyment, it's not about, fluffy flowers. No, it's about meaningfulness. That's the day. Was the day meaningful for you? Yeah. It's also going through hardships. It is also facing your challenges, addressing them. Yeah, sitting in the discomfort. Yeah.
Already a lot being said. Sitting in discomfort and allowing that to be there is already a big concept in and on itself. But if you look at where you are right now, how far are you away of the person you want to you are aspiring to become?
I believe it is a journey. And I would say I'm far closer to live that well-intentioned life than I used to be, let's say, 6 or 7 years ago, when the journey was just only coming into, I started asking myself these existential questions. So again, I do not believe that there is an answer that, you once found an answer and off you go, then you just glide through life. It is a never-ending quest. It requires a lot of perseverance, a lot of curiosity, a lot of stubbornness sometimes to just pivot ideas, come up with new, hypothesis. How do you formulating hypotheses, testing them, failing, maybe learning, but from failure going not to, it is a disaster, but truly, that was an interesting experience. What did I learn? What KPIs? What hypothesis did I formulate in the beginning? How did I went through the journey? What did I learn? And how did I take this knowledge into the next phase?
That's a good question. That's a good question. You mentioned, let's go right away also deep. Yeah. You mentioned you both share a Ukrainian background.
Yes.
As we all know, it's a heavy situation at this moment, but we will go a little bit into that. How is growing up in Ukraine? How can we, because in the Netherlands at this moment, a lot of people don't know. We hear a lot of course, in the media. Of course, not necessarily all true or wrong or whatever. But for you growing up in Ukraine, and how was that? How was childhood and how was being born in Ukraine for you?
Yeah. So for me, right now, even when you asked it, I have a very big smile in me because, I am so proud to be Ukrainian. While at this, the moment when I feel proud, it was also the journey that that I came to realize how proud I am to be Ukrainian. But the journey and realization was not always easy. So what was it to look and grow up in Ukraine? to many people who went through the collapse of Soviet Union and then formation of independent Ukraine, it meant living with a lot of scarcity. Why so? Because economic system collapsed and planned economic was not working. So then you had to rebuild, and then many people went out of jobs, and they had to provide for the basic needs to survive, to feed their families. Mm-hmm. Luckily, in my family, my parents were quite entrepreneurial, and early in the stage of my father worked as an engineer. And for example, in order to feed the family, he was buying some stuff that engineers were producing in the plant, and then he was going to Poland to sell it. Oh. Because in Poland, they didn't go through shortcuts. They were really rebuilding the economic based on the free economics principles. Yeah. So, but it was really a moment of uncomfortable where there was nothing to be bought. So, my parents took the stuff from Ukraine.
Very entrepreneurial spirit.
Very entrepreneurial.
Right.
That's one thing. Another part was that I'm from Kiev.
Yeah.
And also I lived in the suburbs of Kiev, meaning that we had a large plot of land. And essentially, as we know, I don't know, people do not know, but in Soviet Union, eventually, the whole concept of Soviet Union was that everyone receives an equal pay, very basic, and then everyone is equal, which was not the case, because there were many shortcuts, and then people were trying to trick the system to get a bit more. But the only way to get a bit more and was to figure things out, and luckily at the time it was allowed. Entrepreneurship was not in the Soviet Union. It was even a dirty word. Yeah, because in entrepreneurship, you are trying to get more than the average. You are sneaky and these type of things, but
that was what is being said about entrepreneurship and why entrepreneurship is a sort of a dirty word,
yes,
right?
Yeah. But it was allowed to sell produce from your own garden.
Okay, that was allowed. Okay.
So my parents, what I remember from my childhood is that, and the reason why I'm so determined that early on from my childhood, I remember how my grandma, my mom, were growing produce. Basically everything, from early in spring to the late autumn, whatever produce you can imagine, we had it. And not only they sold it in the early stages of Soviet Union collapse, they were even bringing strawberries by plane to sell in Moscow. Wow! And it still made a business sense. Can you imagine? So for me, that was a part of survival. It was part of hustle that I observed. So early on in my life, I've learned that you need to work very hard in order to achieve something. Living in Ukraine at that time also meant for me that because people were focusing so much on basic survival, right? In order to get a bit of decent life, you need to put a lot of extra effort, meaning that, unfortunately, parents who also were the product of previous generation who were the post-war kids were not emotionally available. And that's something that had quite a large impact on me, that shaped who I am, and it took a lot of inner work to not to seek validation. When your parents are busy, and and especially when you're a kid, you just want to be seen. The basic human need, right? You want to be seen, you want to be recognized. That's a basic thing, and I didn't receive it. It was a time when I was blaming my parents. I accepted it. I did a lot of work, and I found a way to, first of all, reparent myself and give, first of all, forgive. Not only forgive, but more understand where they were coming from, and find the ways to heal. And now, give that love and appreciation towards myself. But that, unfortunately, impacted quite a lot in a way. Like when I started working, always in the international setup, I still was looking for quite a long period of my career, this father figure, asking and waiting for validation. And that is something that I still see a lot of professional women still do. Because we hold this in a way, maybe it is a generational trauma in a way, because
it is.
We hold this as we all share quite a lot of past. So that was one part, You asked the question, how was it to live in Ukraine? So that's a part of the answer.
May I step in a little?
Sure.
Because it triggers something in me. And we started, before we started recording, I shared with you that Kimo Kamara is going to interview me in the podcast. Yes. And of course, also the second principle in the document stated with you, what to expect letter is, although it starts with me, it's ultimately not about me, about the principles which are guiding me becoming a host. Yet I want to share a little bit about why it resonates. I think you saw it. And that is that I've been for a long time the absent father, and I'm very aware of it, and I'm doing my utmost best to figure out what the specific needs of my beautiful 3 daughters, 2 with my ex-wife, and 1 with my beloved girlfriend Floortje, and still figuring out, without having, and that's no excuse, but never had a good example. So without having the proper examples, how can I become a better father, better, and by better I mean a more present, because it was never about. I dare to say it was never about being a bad father, or in what form, shape, terrible father, but it was my lack of presence and emotional unavailable for a long period of time. And I had to first go through the severe feelings of guilt, but never denied it. Never, I was always aware of it. Couldn't change it at the moment. I was already aware of it. So it resonates. And why it resonates? Because I saw the emotion also in you and in your eyes while you were so openly talking about it, that the path to forgiveness, the path to at first forgiveness, and trying to also as an adult see their perspective and where it comes from, yet also our inner child is of course also hurt, and then you enter the corporate marketing space and you still feel like, oh, I need that validation, I'm seeking validation. To be honest, being aware, I'm very proud of myself, but also it made me feel very guilty, because feeling very guilty because you can't turn back time. And that's why I love being connected with the OMAC community, because there I saw a few in one community event in the summer in 2024. I saw 3 profound examples of a father really, really being present. And because I was receptive at that moment, so I was really receptive. I really witnessed it. And also the 3 are already a guest in my podcast. So I'm talking about Kimo, I'm talking about Saman, I'm talking about Christopher Williams, I'm talking about Kobe Apalma. They were really expressing an example of being a present father and how important that is. So not sorry for sharing that, but it really hit the nerve, and I really admire your I really acknowledge what impact that might have. We're all unique, but the impact. Well, I think there is a similar impact. I believe in a similar impact. What I admire is you are so open about it right now, although I see it also got you a little emotional. And how did you find a way to forgiveness? And also find a way to try to see it from their perspective, but most importantly, also the path to what helped you to give it a place, give it a space. What helped you?
Before answering that question, I want to mirror what you just said, because you said something very beautiful, saying, okay, I am aware about my past, I feel guilty, and I also understand that I want to do things differently. And I just want to acknowledge this, because it takes so much courage and self-awareness to let go of your ego, especially at the adult age, and accept that you are just human and you can make mistakes. With this, you're giving the biggest gift to your kids by showing, look, I can screw up.
I did.
I'm deeply sorry. And also, it might be that you will not forgive me, yet is there a way and a place where we can make it, go from onwards differently? And this is the gift, I believe, that not every parent can give to their kid, because they hold so much armory, so much, I know it all, or I cannot be wrong. So it requires a lot of depth.
Thank you very much. And I truly appreciate that. And luckily my oldest, who I believe, because of being the oldest, I really had to work hard to find a way back, and happily that we share a love for diversity and events. So I'm bringing her a few times already, and she truly enjoyed it, to community events.
Lovely.
And so that's a beautiful thing to share with each other, to pause and reflect on. And
what unites us, right?
Yeah,
so
what unites us.
There are many things that might turn us apart, but okay, let's find a common thing that we really like a red thread for us.
And I'm a coach in the business model business modeling, but now the business model is about you. And I asked her just before Christmas, India, do you love to? Her name is India. Her father originally comes from India. And I asked India, well, you are in between choosing the next university or whatever, and you're going to travel to Far East. But before we go to Far East, are you willing to do the deep dive with me in the business model you? And we did. And the trust. And the openness, and that's the biggest gift I could have ever imagined. Well, I could have never imagined, and I could only hope for. So, so thank you very much. But now, let me get back to my principle. Although it starts with me, ultimately it's not about me. How did you? How is that process for you?
I mean, just many years of therapy. Yes. That's the answer. Yeah, I mean, but not only therapy, but also going through uncomfortable processes. Going through a lot of uncomfort and really noticing things. And also, in the very beginning, it all starts from, am I happy with how things are at the moment? For myself, for my relationships with the other? If the answer is yes, then probably do not poke the bear. Then probably everything is fine. But if you're not happy, again, I have bias for action.
Yeah.
We know the background, right? I have a garden, right?
Yeah.
Bias for action. So if I'm not happy, then I need to do something to change it. And I will be digging. So again, this perseverance, this not settling for how things are. And not knowing, I mean, understanding in the beginning that there will be, like, I'm in to put the hard work. It might also require going, like, slow process, iterations, frustrations, in order to have a better relationships. What
is for you the cue to come in action? What is for you the cue on your path that you feel, because sometimes it's not a overnight thing. So it's slowly and surely underneath something. What is for you the cue to come in action and to think, hey, I don't want to feel like this. I have a bias for action. Now it's the time to move. What is the cue before that happens?
This inner state. Now I understand it. I've learned to be more grounded and sensing, okay, where do I feel it in the body? I have this ickiness. But it all, okay. And scientifically now I know, for example, that I really love the framework of wheel of life. Mm-hmm. I don't believe in balance, but I really love to look at their life from the perspective of aspects of life and just seeing, where am I? On a scale from 0 to 10, where am I? How satisfied I am, and where do I want to be? So if we don't know where we are, it is really hard to plan the path forward. So it starts with, here and now, where I am, how these areas of my life look like. So now it is, that's how I plan my life and see it my life right now. Before it was more about, okay, like, in that conversation with my mom, I'm calling my mom and there is no depth and I almost don't want to call her. It is a signal, it's not really right. Or, I feel resentment. Or, in that conversation with my boss, I feel that, I'm belittling myself. So before it was more of a sensation, and then if I were observing that situation for multiple times, I'm like, I'm curious to dig deeper, because something is off. So it all starts with awareness, and then a decision to do something about it. But it's really awareness.
By the wheel of life.
Yes.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. So, and are you revisiting are you doing that on a yearly base or in a quarterly base? And that you're revisiting it and see, okay, where do I need to calibrate or adjust or iterate or pivot? Maybe even extreme pivot, make a pivot. How does it work for you?
So for sure, essentially, when I plan my year, I always look at the wheel of life.
Yeah.
Or I look at myself, my different professional self, and not only professional self. So I'm a mother, I'm a woman, I'm a coach, I'm a lecturer, I'm a community builder, I'm also a spouse, I'm a partner.
Yeah.
So I look at wheel of life / these areas of my life and just really see, okay, how am I? Where do I want to go? And then I always define 3 core priorities for the year to come, because if we have way too many priorities, our brain goes bananas.
It ain't a priority.
It is not a priority. But then while I set these goals, I also, for me, as I mentioned, the journey is as important as the end destination. So I then look at my monthly goals, my yearly goal, monthly goal. Yeah. And then I see, okay, if those are my 3 goals, okay, what I will do for those, and also if the other areas are important for me, where do I give a space, and with what will I be content? So maybe it will be not 10 out of 10, because let's say work now requires more effort, more output, but let's say I don't want to drop my relationships. I will give it at least a 5. It will be conscious. We will design it with my partner. And I would say, okay, we might not see each other, that frequently, or might not have that much of a space, and yet, how can we still honor our relationships? Yeah. So it is always well designed, really intentional choices.
And does your life partner, does the same? Because if you have the conversation, there should be a sort of common language and a common understanding why you're asking those questions, right? Yes. Does he do the same?
Well, I do not throw my principles on him, but at least he's aware of mine, and he actually is quite receptive and takes quite a few insights from me into his life. He's more of a, let's say, brainy person. Yeah. I'm blending in the feelings part and the brain. So for me, both became important over time. But I see how I don't believe people will only change when they are ready to change. But I really see. So that's why I'm like, you do you, I do me, and I'm just gently sharing. Exactly.
Yeah, that's, and I think that's, and by sharing and the highest form of control, in my opinion, control is an illusion. I believe control is an illusion, but I do believe in positively influencing by informing, sharing what we care about, and see what resonates with one another, and ultimately finding a sort of common ground, right?
Yes.
Interesting. Hey, and while growing up in Ukraine, for sure that made a profound impression, that entrepreneurial spirit, while entrepreneurship was a sort of dirty word. What is your first big leap in your life from there on? The first, for instance, what did you study?
I studied...
Because you study, you're studying something, and where you are right now is something totally different.
Yes.
So that's interesting to dive into. So what, and how logical was the choice to studying what you're going to tell?
So when I was graduating from school, I had no bloody clue what I wanted to do. Honestly, I wanted to be a hairdresser.
Oh, wow.
Why not?
Why not?
But then my parents sort of didn't like that idea, and they told, okay, look, my brother, I have an older brother, he did his master's in economics, my dad had a master's in economics, and I thought, look, if I have no clue, and maybe I'm a bit hesitant, I'm not yet that much connected to that idea of hairdresser, they have a decent life, how about I also do the master's in economics? And off I go. And actually, I enjoyed it a lot because it was really the most broadest. It was not, international relationships or marketing. It was really economics of Adam Smith, Karl Marx, these type of deep, profound papers. And honestly, I hated it in the process. I truly enjoy it now because that laid a foundation of how I think and how I understand business, marketing, also humans. Because again, what Adam Smith told back in the days about the fact that all the people are rational, and you now observe, and as I was observing humans in marketing, now I work in coaching and education, I see that I start questioning those assumptions, but it really laid a really solid foundation.
Solid foundation.
Yes.
And what did you learn most about yourself in that period?
In that period, I also learned that I have bias for action, and I want to, theories do not satisfy me that much. I want to put it into practice. This is why I went to I went into working when I was 19. And I started my career already from the large multinational. My first job was at Unilever. My first title was assistant of a receptionist.
Assistant of a receptionist.
There is such a role, exactly, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
It is interesting. Without knowing, we both laugh. Why do you think we laugh? That's interesting. That's interesting to figure that out. Why do you think we laugh? We both laughed at the same time.
I think it is, it is funny because if you look back at the journey, right? It's just wow, it's just. Right? It's
a long journey, and you made a very interesting corporate career. But what made me laugh was, wow, this sounds really corporate, because if you have an assistant of the reception, I'm like, how many layers in one place, in one role can you have, right? I'm like, okay, this is really interesting, and but you did it anyway. With your academic background, you did it anyway.
Yeah, I was studying, so I had very it was very interesting life where I was going to my classes were starting at 8 a.m. in the morning. I went in there after studies. I still didn't had a car, so I commuted by public transport to be there at 3 or something. At work, was working from, let's say, 2 to 3 till 6. Was commuting back home. Sometimes I was also doing the driving license test, or was doing my bachelor's and then master's. Coming back home to do the studying, to repeat the whole shebang in the same way. In 1 year of working like that, I actually was noticed because actually that experience gave me something invaluable, because when you're sitting at the reception, somebody might say, what do you do? But you actually, if you're observant, and if you're curious, you start looking, okay, how do you handle those documents? But who are the people who are handling it? There are people from marketing, there are people from procurement, there are people from supply chain, there are people from finance. What do they do? How do they look like? And it's something that I now I understand from a scientific perspective. When we are thinking about careers and finding purpose, finding purpose is very complex. But if you think about tasks, if you think about people, and if you think about purpose, and now you look at that lens, things started making sense. So I was looking at those people and thinking, okay, I love marketing people because they're so fluffy, they're so, not fluffy, but so bubbly, so so lively, so playful. There's so much life in them. Okay, what tasks do they do? Okay, they go and shoot some advertisement. They go and do some field visits. Their life looked so interesting for me, and and also in terms of purpose, they do something very interesting. So look, they create something from nothing, and that's something that I now understand. Back then, now I apply the theoretical framework into that. But sitting there, I actually understood. Oh, look, marketing is something that I deeply connect with. And this is, and also people from marketing have seen me in the reception, and when opportunity became available, and I also mentioned, like I was doing a chit chat, and I was asking, okay, do you maybe have a role or something? And that's how I was invited to become a trainee in marketing department, and that's how, and the rest is history.
Hey, you mentioned an interesting part. How much do you believe? There are two things. What I hear is that you sort of first looked at people.
Yes.
From a lens with, like Daniel Pink says in his book Drive.
Yes.
Autonomy, mastery, and purpose.
Yes.
And you're very interested in what drives people, what makes them behave in a certain way. How much do you believe in when it comes to marketing is about people?
It is all about people.
All about people. And how much of your decision to, the urge to step into that world is based on the curiosity about people?
Again, we can connect dots only looking backwards.
Yeah.
Back in the time, what drove me was interesting people, like the tasks.
Yeah.
Autonomy.
Yeah.
Right. Competence, development of competences.
Mastery,
exactly. Yeah. So that was more of that part. And only looking backwards do I see that if I look at all my career and then the career pivots, it all was driven by love and curiosity for people. Curiosity is one of my core values. And curiosity for people.
Do you believe about curiosity? Because we are mentioning it both quite a few times, also in our previous conversation. It's a difficult question, but I'm trying to decipher it for myself. How much do you believe for yourself? Ultimately, we only can talk about say it about ourselves because we don't own somebody else's brain. So how much do you believe is nature versus nurture when it comes to curiosity?
I honestly, what I know is that for sure curiosity needs a fertile ground. So for example, if you are in survival mode, and for example, if you see the world as dangerous place, your brain will be doing its work of survival, of protecting. So all the resources will go into just protecting, basic.
Yeah. Prefrontal cortex shut down, and you're really in your amygdala and really in your high alert, hypo arousal or hyper aroused.
Exactly. So there is no energy left for curiosity and creativity in that space. So curiosity needs conditions. And it is also a conscious choice. And I believe that that's something that adults do not recognize quite often. They don't check in with themselves, and they just expect constant performance. Okay, come up with a, drive, deliver. But have you checked with yourself? Is there actually... is there a space? Again, I'm talking about Wheel of Life. This is also the place where Wheel of Life has such a powerful place. Because if you're on Wheel of Life, when I do this audit, I also check on what gives me energy and what drains my energy. Yeah. And if balance is not balancing out, and I see that there are many more activities on my Wheel of Life that drain my energy than give me energy, how can I expect to have novel ideas? And it's something... so getting back to your question, nature versus nurture, I do believe that curiosity requires fertile ground. And maybe I was lucky. And also with my history of that, bias for action and innate curiosity for this world. So I was not I'm seeing this world as a very sometimes scary place, but also beautiful. My God, there is so much beauty in every single human.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for such a broad perspective, because I love to read, but I only started 8 years ago. And that was the turning point, was that I knew I had to change a few things in my life because it wasn't healthy. But if for everything we change, which is profound at that moment, there is a space for new. And I thought I should find something new, because otherwise how easy is it to slip back to in your default mode?
Yes.
And for me it was partying hard. And and that was not healthy anymore. So I had to stop that. And so I started reading. And one of the books came across just a few weeks ago was the explanation, and it really resonated about, I'm an infinite student. The world, I see life. Sorry, I'm the infinite student. I see the world as a classroom. And I believe life is a university. So life, a university, the world, a classroom, and myself in it, an infinite student. That is interesting, yeah? And I had to really recall how did I put that in perspective, but it made me think like that, and if we it does something with us, right? It puts a
100%.
smile.
Again, it's from, first of all, indeed, I see how you radiate when you pronounced it, but also in neuroscience and coaching, this is called shift of perspective. So, for example, when client comes to coaching and says, "Okay, like this is I'm just really, this is situation how it is. Like I cannot change it. And one of the tools with which I work is that, let's be like a bit playful. Would you be open to explore this same situation from a different perspective? So what can open up? And then I find the something that is resonant, the perspective that is resonant, truly resonant, that the human can feel in their body. And from that place, so what opens up for you from that perspective?
Yeah.
Not only that, so when you embody it and when you feel it, then the question is that, okay, who are you being? When you act like this, from this perspective, who are you being?
And how do you feel?
And what are you doing?
Yeah.
Because doing without being, if you don't feel it. But then comes the question, what are you ready to say yes to? And what are you committed to say no to?
Love it.
If you are truly committed. And then for sure, I act as accountability partner, and I check on the client on how they...
act upon their stop, keep, start.
Exactly, because when you share, okay, I'm an infinite student, the world is university. Okay, what opens up from this perspective for you? And who are you being? I see that you light up, you see the world as...
It is. But and in every conversation, like now, for instance, the here and now, hearing your perspective about curiosity, it wasn't planned for, it wasn't scripted, and it pops up. And the beauty of what I learned, and what I truly also, what resonated in your answer is, first of all, it needs fertile ground. And I truly believe in that, because having a at first childhood experience at young age, there is no room for those kind of things. And so it really, that broad perspective, and even though I knew it somewhere, by naming it in such a clear, articulate way as you did, it draws a picture in my imagination, in my head. And I see also life is a sort of puzzle, and we're a never-ending puzzle, and we're calibrating and trying to put the right pieces at the right places, and maybe replace them because it doesn't fit really well there. So but it is life is university, and the world is a classroom, and I would love to invite everyone to be the infinite student and not being a know-it-all.
Oh my God, no.
No. Hey, and a corporate background, marketing you've chosen deliberately, and curiosity drove you, the love of people, and also the marketing perspective, marketing aspect. But now you're doing something not completely, but you're doing something as a profession, something completely different. What was the moment in your life, in your corporate marketing life, which ultimately, made you make the pivot, the realization, hey, I'm here, but I want to go there. Was it a very profound, was it a very clear moment, or a bubbling underneath, or a combination of it? What was it?
There was a chain of events, let's say. Let's do a short recap. So essentially, after working for 8 years in Ukraine, in large, like all these big names of Unilever, Carlsbergs of this world, I thought I always wanted to do, I always thought, okay, I need to education. So I need some proof. Talking about this, needing to prove. I thought, okay, this thing, only working is not enough. I need to go to study. Now I understand I would rather go to therapy earlier. Yet still, I had a wonderful experience of just packing all the belongings, going and studying in Sweden together with my husband. A wonderful experience, I never regret, but just, it could have been different measure maybe. So we do the studies. I study marketing, because I need a proof, I need a diploma, right? It is not enough. We come back to Ukraine, then come to the Netherlands, and I come back to work for yet another corporate. And already there, I also get pregnant very quickly. Such a blessing. I didn't see it coming, but I feel so much guilt that I only started working and I quite quickly got pregnant.
And guilty, to make any assumption, guilty to whom?
Imagine you and even asking, but I'm guilty that I started, and I'm just basically not letting go, but I'm not betraying, but I am not fulfilling to the promises.
To the employer.
Exactly. How dare am I? So, but also when I worked there, I already felt that, I did all this, path in marketing, and especially in the setup when I don't create stuff, because there it was a bit of a different setup that I got used to, and I'm not responsible that much for the product. I started thinking that something is off, and when my son gets born, I started even more having this profound realization that my time is very limited, very scarce, and am I really happy? Do I enjoy this time? And for sure, the fact that I was not happy at work, not really questioning it, was not really feeling that I'm good enough mom, because I was not there present for my son. I was just trying to blend in this life of, and let's not forget that I only moved to the new country 9 months ago. So it all just collapsed, and I'm feeling not enough in all the places. And also I try to fit in so much, and according to the Dutch system, you need to get back to work after 4 months. In Ukraine, it is 3 years.
Oh, wow.
Nobody stays for 3 years, but at least a year. It's something that is more close to my heart, but because I try to fit in so much, I go back to work very early. So I'm feeling guilty across all the places. I come back to work, reduce my work hours, but still deliver for... So boundaries were not yet a thing, and I ended up in the burnout. Quite severe one, when it was not that I woke up one day and I realized that I'm in a burnout, but it really required me to go back to Ukraine and visit my therapist, who told Anna, if you were in Ukraine, I would put you on medication right now, honestly, because you are in such a severe state of exhaustion, lady. So that was for me a moment from where, this true self-discovery started.
I'm thinking, and I see also the emotion while we're talking about it in your eyes. Jiggling so many balls. Also so many, I believe that we think that a lot of people are expecting X, Y, Z, right? So a lot of assumed expectations, because are they expectations, or are we do we think they are expectations? So assumed between, but expectations, obligations, opinions, and we force that upon ourselves. Do you believe we can learn the younger versions of us to prevent to go into that rabbit hole, or do we need those life events in order to change?
Well, I wish I wish that life was so like an easy path, but I really love this, and then everything was just, you read the book, you get the realization, and off you go. But I feel that you really need to live through certain experiences, sometimes life throws a curveball, and we need to learn a lesson, because it's not about the event in itself, but it's about what we make with it and what we learn and how we learn from this experience. Same applies to people with whom I work, for example, who recover from burnout. I always say that if, for example, and it was also my journey, if you, for example, go on sick leave, but do not address the elephant in the room, like what caused you, what behavioral patterns, what are the belief systems that brought you here, if you only just stay at home and like go for a walk, and for sure there is a need, and for restoration, that is like having a routine that is important. But if you haven't addressed the root causes, you will come, unfortunately, in the same pattern. And funnily enough, in my case, I thought I did the work. I addressed a lot of patterns, like when in burnout, I was recovering, doing the mind, and then recovering the body, recovering the soul, and also worked in coaching and in therapy. So that's how actually I realized that I want to be a coach while working in coaching and seeing the influence it had on me. But it didn't prevent me from getting into almost second burnout as stakes became higher. Yeah, and I thought again, nobody gets in this life easily. And it was also a lesson. So, and it is okay.
Let's first start with, we are fascinating creatures, right?
Yes.
And then the first time was so severe that you think, okay, this I will never do anymore. I will never reach that point that I'm. And also what you mentioned, that sick, when we are sick at home, and not working at the root cause, but treating the symptoms, right? Symptom treatment, but not the root cause.
Yes.
Do you believe that when you worked on yourself, were you still working on the symptoms or also on the root cause that made it possible to almost get into the second burnout?
I was definitely addressing the root causes, 100%. I was really going into the root causes, what brought me, what it was really about the deep inner work.
Yeah.
But the only question is that, look, when I was coming back from a burnout, I went into the higher position to lead a team of 3 in a new environment. So I moved from corporate marketing to marketing for an NGO. The domain was new to me. Leading a team of 3 human beings was new to me. Domain was new to me. So and for sure, what was known is my marketing background, but also what was requested from the role was not necessarily I had to, marketing was also not a domain in that company. So I had to do a lot of education on what marketing is.
You earn your personal position, but also the position of the marketing discipline within the NGO.
So with all the inner work that I have done, but when your brain doesn't have a foundation on what to stand steadily and sturdily, when you get into that situation, your brain recognizes the situation as threat. Again, we go to the basic survival mode. Yeah. We need to survive, so we're not talking about creativity and stuff. We just, we start to protect ourselves.
Yeah. No problem.
And luckily, I was, again, thanks to that experience of first time, I was already far more aware. So when I was looking at the patterns of where I didn't give much responsibility to my team, but I was just trying to do everything myself, I'm like, Anna, wait a second. What is your role as a leader here? Your role is not to do everything perfectly, it's to empower. Expectation management and stakeholder management. Anna, your role is not to do sit in the trenches. You need to manage your stakeholders. You need to build relationships. So in that, also, like really knowing truly well how system operates from the corporate standpoint, so bringing that experience and also educating myself on corporate dynamics also helped me to also, how do you measure success? What are your metrics of success when you become a leader? Mm-hmm. It is different from individual contributor.
It is from personal achievement to team performance.
Team performance, exactly.
Right?
So through that work, I've learned in a hard way I learned how to pause, how to go first, actually also observe myself, because it is very important. And I really invite everyone. For me, it is really important to offer this meta view. Mm-hmm. It's just imagine that you are now a fly on a wall, mm-hmm. right? And you're just observing what is happening. Can you please be neutral for just a moment and observe and name it?
That's an interesting one. Huh? Can you please be neutral? That's also already the challenge.
Yeah. So try just. So what is your
be the observant of yourself in the room?
Yes, for sure. And then just see it as a dynamic. It is a system. What is your role in this? What is the role of the others? And try to do reality checks. So, and that is something that, again, I truly love to work with in coaching with the types of because quite a lot of clients that come to me are exactly in the same moments when they move from individual contributor to a leader. And there is one point of hard skills, but you need to do your own work. Otherwise,
True. So, the second time, mm-hmm. and is the second time almost the second time, or did you feel you were in a burnout then?
It also collided with two circumstances. A passing of my father, which happened on January 13th, 2022, and then the war in Ukraine broke on February 24th, 2022. So essentially, already at that time, I feel, okay, I can recognize the patterns, right? But there are also life events that, are
out of your control, severe impact.
And they have I had to remove myself from work it's just the wisest thing that I had to do, because what I did is when my father passed away, I spent 2 weeks in Ukraine. Was really busy with helping my mom to settling the basics.
And it was just pre-war,
exactly. So when we are in Ukraine, we constantly check on the news, what is happening, these troops and everything. So situation is really tense. I come back to Netherlands, and the next day I come back from work. I come to work, and I had very understanding boss, but again, work is work, right? You need to deliver. And I was still in grief, not knowing how to grieve. So I was just trying to almost put that on a pause. But then when the war started,
it literally collapsed.
Yes. I was suffering, for the loss of my father, for all the population, my mom who was there. So that was the moment that.
And did you go home, and what did you do? How did you take care of yourself?
So first of all, mom came to live with us for a couple of first months. So the one in the most active part, she was with us. Luckily, learning from the first burnout, when the war broke, I see that in so many people, you have this bias for action. And when you feel that you are in more safety than every single Ukrainian who tries to tries to come to the border, you have this survivor guilt syndrome where you say, okay, if I'm suffering less, then I need to save people here. I say luckily, because I had this first burnout, the biggest lesson for me was that if I do not, you need to put your oxygen mask first on yourself. It might be selfish. People might criticize you. It's not about them. It's about functioning so that I could then be a source of good, because nobody will benefit from everyone suffering. It is easier said than done. I still see people, a lot of Ukrainians and people across the world who went through similar circumstances, that they don't allow themselves to feel well. It's almost, if you suffer, I need to suffer as well. It's this a bit of dysfunctional relationships. For me, it was like, okay, now I need to truly feel better.
Put the oxygen mask first.
So that I could be of service for the other.
For others.
Yeah. So that's why I took care of my physical well-being, mental well-being, social well-being, relationships with my mother, also my family. Just happened that by the moment when the war started, my brother, who is military obliged technically, he has his family, everything is here, so he in the Netherlands, but on the day of the war, he turned out to be in Ukraine, meaning that he couldn't
cross-border.
Yes, exactly. So he was stuck there for half a year. So a lot is happening, and
out of your control,
out of my control, but it's still like deeply personal, and while it is still, it's dear to your heart. So you figure out how to live with that, and help to the ones that's your immediate circle, and slowly when the energy started to come back. My mom decided to come back to Ukraine, and she's a fierce woman. Imagine. She is now 54 years old, and I'm just so proud of this woman. She's just the example for me that it is never too late. Look, she's been in a relationship with her husband for 40 years. Always in this very patriarchal society where a man decides for everything. And then she works hard. She basically was the rock in our family, never asking for much, just really, never asking, actually even asking what she wants. And then all of a sudden, her life partner dies.
Passed away. Yeah.
So she makes a conscious choice to come back to Ukraine, to live in the war country, to learn to drive the car. When she was 62, she started learning English. A woman who'd never taken care of herself because there was never time to do this. She now goes to do some beauty procedures every other week. And she tells Anna, I want to stay there because it is my life there. And I want to figure out what that life is. I don't know, because I've always been a part of family. I was a wife. But who am I?
Great question.
So for me, that woman is just, I don't need role models, to be honest. I have one at home.
I think this is your empowering life model for the rest of your life, right?
Unfortunately, I didn't see her as such while growing up. Luckily, as it, with your, I'm really grateful that I cannot, retrieve the past, but in the present, with the time that we still have, I can tell how much I love her, how much I'm proud of her, and just really
beautiful. Anna.
She's just badass. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you. I mean, I didn't see it coming.
No, me neither, of course. And but the beauty of our conversation is genuine. It's raw. It's honest, it's open, but also appreciating your mother for being the example, for her being her. And the way I believe is you inherited a lot of her. There's a lot of her in you.
100%.
So over to Mom, if you're listening, you can be very proud of your daughter. And wow. Anna, but the point that the thing that we're still missing or didn't touch upon is, where did you decide to become a coach? Because it was marketing over in corporate, it was marketing and a leadership leadership role, management role within the NGO. Then the burnout, the war, and the loss of your father. And then where did the turning point started for the coach you are now?
So it didn't become just one, like once I woke up and decided.
No.
As we already seen, the love of people, curiosity was always a thing. And I don't believe that you just, wake up and decide on one thing. You need to do a lot of small experiments. For me, those experiments, I thought, okay, I love people. Okay, I led the team. I enjoyed leading the team. I always was when I had a time, I was mentoring people. Also, when doing that that experience, being the marketeer in NGO, I came there because I wanted to make a bigger impact. After that experience, I realized that that's not the type of impact I'm seeking. Mm-hmm. I wanted to be more hands-on. I don't also want it to be, I don't need to have this bravado of large name or, we're saving the world status, because again, we're allowed to question the existence of quite a lot of NGOs and what is the end result of what they're doing. And I thought, okay, I want to make it very practical, very hands-on, and let it be small. Mm-hmm. It's not about ego, it's about being of service while also playing to my strengths. And that's how, and also because I also worked with a coach.
Yeah.
That was for me a natural step, and also therapy/coaching. I also have seen it. I truly enjoy looking with present and looking into the future, so more of empowerment. Yeah. Hence the name of my company.
Yeah, Empowerment Lab.
Exactly.
Right,
so I truly love to stand within now while acknowledging. And this is the thing. I'm not, this type of, you just, you can do anything. No. Being where you are, truly being aware. How can you make, the next steps in leadership, in career? How can you make braver choices? So that's how coaching
came naturally to you.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's interesting. Your the name of your company, Empowerment Lab. Of course, how come I love that name with Journeys of being the host of Journeys of Empowerment. But the lab is interesting because the lab also implies that it's ongoing learning, right?
For me, it is also about experimentation. It is about play. It is about pivots. It is about, lab is such, it is experimentation. It is curiosity. It is playfulness. Yeah, there is so much aliveness in it.
It is. And while we're in sort of the 64, episode 63 or 64, I have to look in the calendar, and but I'm still allowing myself to figure out the name Journeys of Empowerment. But Michiel, what does empowerment for you actually mean? Shall we put ourselves to the test in this conversation? Try to decipher what for you and what for me is empowerment. So if I ask for you, Empowerment Lab, for me that is really gives me the feeling that it's an ongoing learning process. It isn't a static state, right? We feel empowered. No. And what for you is empowerment?
You see, the word empowerment has two elements: power and met. But there is power, and the power that might not be that you might you may have it, but you might not realize that you have it. So for me, empowerment means walking aside a human, a class full of students, and helping them see and discover the beautiful gifts that they have in them.
I love that. And it is really fulfilling when you see that happening, right? When you see also, that's what I love seeing when we're at community events. We come in with a sort of questions and why am I here and who are in the room. We're trying to read the room. Okay, what is this speaker XYZ is going to tell me or teach me, or the panelist, or and am I wearing the right clothes, and what I'm going to ask to the next the person next to me, and all those kind of questions, right? And then all of a sudden, the beauty of a keynote speaker who is really attuning to the room and really addressing something which glues the audience from coming in like an individual, and you see the aha moments, resonance, and then you see that happening, and you see a sort of collective, I visualize a sort of collective brain, which ultimately is going to, you know, the neurons that are firing are wiring together, and there the whole through that resonance, human resonance, and also the beauty of that is that we feel seen, heard, appreciated, welcomed, and also safe to open up. For me, there in that intersection, sorry for the long explanation, but in that intersection of what is happening there, for me, that is the true essence of empowerment, that we feel seen, heard, appreciated, but also that we see ourselves. And by that seeing ourselves and feeling empowered, feeling safe enough to be open. I saw that happening with my daughter, my oldest daughter, 19 years old, India, happening at the community event from OMEC. All of a sudden, I wasn't aware. I heard my daughter through the microphone, but I wasn't looking that way. So I thought, hey, this is a familiar voice. And she was truly speaking up about her experience to a group of 90 people gathering around, being open about and vulnerable about her personal experience growing up with a bicultural background. Wow. And Anna, that was for me the true representation of empowerment in action at that moment.
Imagine what becomes available when we walk around and we are surrounded by humans who are brave, who are courageous, who discover that power in themselves, who didn't settle for granted, who believe in themselves, who might yet not believe in themselves just yesterday, but all of a sudden they figure out, oh my God, actually, you know what? That past, it doesn't define me. That history of oppression doesn't define me. It's like, yes, I have it. I take it with pride and with... it is my history, but I feel empowered. It is not, killing me. Oh my God! I'm involved. The more people, and that's my life mission. And I see that we have this in common.
See that, yeah.
The more people, I believe, who are fulfilled, who are thriving, who live this life as if this is it has taste, it has flavor. It's almost, I imagine the life as if it is a salsa dance.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, nice. And that's also, that you touched, you triggered something. There's a sort of rhythm and frequency. And we all come in with our own rhythm and frequency and our background. What I would truly love also in the power of community is when we're slightly tuning in into each other's. That's why I was hooked for a lifetime on partying, because entering a room and love dancing and love trancing and love everything what comes in, it was not about, it was all about becoming in tune with each other. So reaching the frequency and becoming aligned with each other and truly see each other for who we are, except for, and not the accolades and the roles, no, but as a human being.
And even more so, there is a scientific proof of what you've just explained. It also creates, when people do something together, they chant, they are surrounded and they do something, it also creates a sense of safety, yes, and also sense of belonging. Hence, this is why they in this church, in churches, they often do this. But also when we do these things collectively, we have this sense of bigger purpose and meaning. And also, what I believe is that we cannot be what we cannot see. And that's what when you were mentioning about your mentors, we cannot be what we cannot see.
Not true.
if you come to the community, if you are not there, you've mentioned also people come with different frequencies.
Yeah.
There are a couple of steps yet behind. They maybe started later, but they see some examples, and that's why last year we've launched with other Ukrainian women. We launched a community for professional Ukrainian women in the Netherlands to connect, to share ideas, to share, because we have similar historical experience. We want to come, share experiences of our corporate life, to really inspire each other, so that we could also build the path forward.
Beautiful. And can we share that in the show notes,
Sure.
the link to the community? What is the name of the community?
Mudra.
Mudra. And what does it stand for?
In Ukrainian, it means wise.
Ah, wow. I get a bodily response, a sort of central nervous system response. Oh, wow, beautiful. We will for sure send that, share that in the show notes. And while we're heading towards the end, I have tons of questions, but while we're heading towards the end of this conversation, I would love to invite you to share what would be the moment to recognize that it's wise to reach out for help in some sort of way?
When you're feeling that something, when inside you are waking up and you do not maybe feel, you remember yourself, and then you start noticing that something is off. Maybe, I remember myself being one thing, now something is off. Either I don't sleep well, either symptoms are many, right? I lost sleep, I lost, this curiosity for life.
Appetite or
whatever. It can be, symptoms can be plentiful. How am I? Am I happy with how I am feeling now? It is enough to to just stay curious and say, okay, maybe if I'm not happy with what I have, I would love to explore.
And that brings me to my last question for now. Are you applying the wheel of life also in your coaching approach?
We usually start with this.
Ah, beautiful. Okay.
So it is very funny. When my coaching clients who usually come with their career requests, I usually start by sending in the questionnaire where wheel of life is the first thing. And it's fun. It is always interesting to observe how people, for example, they fill it in and they say, look, I feel that one of the elements of wheel of life is fun in their creation. And they say, look, my fun is now at a 2. And my, for example, and my health is at a 5, but it's for later. Right now I came to you with a career request. My biggest difference is money and
yeah. But it doesn't work like that, right?
Yes, exactly. So this is where, and for many women, it starts. This is where the journey of actually acceptance and understanding comes, when they say, "Look, you take yourself in many ways. Do you notice where you might take some areas for granted, or again, how does the definition of success look like? I need to work. I measure my success, or I measure myself by how productive I am." And I offer a frame. Okay, so what story are you telling yourself about I can only rest when I'm almost dead, right? Or in Ukraine, we were telling that, rest is only change of activities, or you will rest when you will retire. So quite a lot of women I work with start with, treating themselves as function, and they need to really learn how to not to take themselves for granted. Challenge the beliefs, truly feel it in their bodies, and for sure go through uncomfortable, not only beliefs, but actually doing the work, because then comes the family, comes real life, and then comes the kids and say, Mom, I want to do this and that. And that woman needs to learn, okay, who am I being when I take care of myself? I'm this and that, okay, what am I doing? And you can still love your kid. One doesn't diminish the other. No. You can still love your kid, and you can still say, look, Mom needs to go for a walk. Mom needs to do that and that. And you will not become less of a mother, partner, whoever, if you take care of yourself or any other area that you believe is unimportant.
Yeah, that's what I mentioned already quite a few times in the podcast, in previous podcasts. But it's truly my mantra is extreme self-care without being selfish. So that's the embodiment of extreme self-care without being selfish. Put your oxygen mask first in order to be able to put. Let's say you have 6 children further the row to be of very good service for others.
Yes.
I still have a lot of questions. I want to. Last question for now is: what part of your own story did you learn to rewrite, which ultimately helped you to become who you are right now? What was the most important part you had to learn to rewrite?
Maybe that, when we're talking about this the Ukrainian part, I told about how I was bringing up, but then another part was always not necessarily feeling enough because of the colonial past that that Ukraine unfortunately holds. So me growing up, feeling, first looking for validation in the arts of important figure of my life, but also not feeling enough because of the culture was not deemed to feel important. So the moment I actually turned that around, I'm enough. So first of all, if you seek recognition, but you don't recognize yourself, right? And if you don't appreciate yourself,
it'll never be enough.
It will never be enough. You will always be as that looking in these eyes of the beholder and looking for, please love me, please. You cannot ask what you don't have. So that was really, and I'm not saying that I'm done. We're never.
It's a work in progress, right?
It is a work in progress, but that beat was it was profound. And second beat is not belittling my own past. My cultural background and treating is more of a heritage. Yeah. It's just a fact that when I think that I'm standing on yes, our culture was oppressed for 300 years, but it doesn't make offer a reframe. Our culture was so powerful and it was such a threat.
It's a different perspective. That enriching and empowering.
Exactly. So when I understand that, I feel so much power in me because I stand on, behind my shoulders, stand generations of not only my people, my family, my heritage, but also all the people of Ukraine. And then, regardless of environment where I come, be it corporate boardroom, be it lecture hall, whatever, I'm a badass. I'm a badass. I really want, and it is something that I bring in. It's like, wow, there can be so much power, and you are so powerful.
Beautiful closure of this conversation, Anna. Thank you very much for being here, for you being you, and wow, thank you very much.
Michiel, it was just such a delight. Yeah, there is no words to describe how grateful I am for your questions, for just being such a deep host.
Thank you very much. Thank you for listening and for staying all the way through. Is something from this episode lingered? Consider sharing it with someone who might need it right now. And if you choose to subscribe or leave a short review, you help these conversations reach others who are still searching for clarity, direction, or belonging. And if you're a founder listening who feels the work no longer fully fits, there's a space to pause. A grounded conversation to explore what gives you energy, what drains it, and what may be asking to shift. You can find that space at journeysofempowerment.com and see whether it resonates. That's how the circle widens, quietly, one listener at a time. Keep going, keep becoming you.